Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Dirks, and on behalf of ACRL and Choice, I'd like to welcome you to today's program, Trends in Reference Publishing Reference Modules, which is sponsored by Elsevier. Today's discussion is one in a series of sponsored webinars from ACRL and Choice that addresses new ideas, developments, and products of interest to the academic library community. Free to users, these structured 60-minute live presentations provide opportunity for interactive discussions of important new issues and developments in academic librarianship by librarians, vendors, authors, and other interested stakeholders. Before we get started, I'd like to point out a few features of the webinar software. In the main area of the screen, you can follow along with the presentation materials. Along the left-hand side, you will see a chat panel that you can use to submit questions or comments. We'll spend some time responding to your questions during the program, so please feel free to submit these throughout. You will also see a separate box for technical questions. Please feel free to use this feature for any technical difficulties you may be experiencing so that our production team can troubleshoot those issues privately. And finally, please note that today's program will be recorded and all registrants will receive follow-up instructions on how to access the archived version. Our speaker today is Dr. Geoffrey Smithers. Dr. Smithers has worked for the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization and Food Science Australia, where he cultivated client relationships in critical capability areas. In 2009, he formed a food and dairy consulting business with a global client base. He has a PhD in biochemistry and nearly 30 years' experience in dairy processing and ingredient science and technology. He has published extensively and is an inventor on a number of patent applications. In 2007, Dr. Smithers was awarded the Sir Ian McLennan Achievement for Industry Prize. In 2011, he was appointed to the editorial advisory board of the International Dairy Journal, and in 2015 was appointed as the inaugural editor-in-chief of the Elsevier Reference Module in Food Science. He was a member of the first class of certified food scientists conferred by the Institute of Food Technologists, and takes an active role in the work of the IFT, the International Dairy Federation, the Australian Institute of Food Science and Technology, and the Dairy Industry Association of Australia. He chairs the DuPont Nutrition and Health Science Advisory Board. And at this point, we are ready to get started. So I will turn it over to you, Dr. Smithers.
Thank you for that introduction, Mark. And can I also echo your welcome to today's presentation on reference modules, with particular reference to the most recent reference module from Elsevier, that in the area of food science. What Becky and I will be endeavouring to do today is to provide you with background information about reference modules, I guess why they've been developed, their value to researchers in the various fields in which the reference modules are available, and towards the end of the presentation, how you actually go about interacting with reference modules, the logistics of their use, and also how they interact and integrate with Sciencedirect. We believe that reference modules are not only the future of reference material publishing, but also the future of sourcing and accessing reference material. Reference modules are really, we believe, really important in the modern scientific world. Some of the reasons we believe that is that the majority of scientific inquiry today requires access to interdisciplinary knowledge. A lot of the cutting-edge developments happen at the interface between various scientific disciplines, and it's important that researchers at the cutting edge have access to the most current interdisciplinary content. And in the case of reference modules from Elsevier, that's access to disciplinary content from Elsevier's Major Reference Works, help complement that being sourced from, say, serials and scientific journals. Another important point about reference modules is that they're curated by a panel of industry experts. In the case of the reference module in food science, that's a panel of 15 industry experts drawn from a wide cross combination of academia, industry, and with various backgrounds in terms of their expertise and experience, and I'll come back to that point later in the presentation. While the reference module in food science is the most recent one made available from Elsevier, there have been a number of others that have been around for a while. So we do have some experience and feedback from those who've used the module. And many relate to us that using the module is akin to working alongside a renowned expert who directs you to the best content available. Just a little about myself. I don't want to dwell on this slide for too long because Mark provided a pretty comprehensive introduction to my background. Suffice to say that my background includes both experience in an academic environment as well as industry, and nearly 30 years experience, particularly in the dairy industry, but also more broadly recently across other parts of the food industry. This experience and background has helped me develop quite a large network of colleagues, and that's assisted in putting together what we believe is a really balanced editorial board that oversees the development of the reference module in food science and ensures that the content is topical, up to date, and at the cutting edge. I'll come back to the editorial board soon. If we move on to a poll question, and you'll see a box on your screen. If you could please provide feedback on that box. I'll give just a minute or two for people to respond. So it would appear that at least the responses we've had so far, a vast majority of those in the webinar source their reference content via subscription, around 85 to 90%. Just a couple more minutes. So that's certainly positive for the reference the reference module initiative. If we move on, now I'd like to get into really what are reference modules. And as I mentioned at the start, after I've talked a little bit about reference modules, the what, why, and where of reference modules, I'll hand over to Becky, who'll take you through how you actually interact with them. Essentially, reference modules are a reorganization of the content from a wide spectrum of reference materials like encyclopedias into a single topic-based hierarchy. And this makes accessing the reference material quite straightforward, and it provides a comprehensive and foundational knowledge that's in a lot of ways different to traditional encyclopedias. These reference modules are accessible through Sciencedirect, so that means that there are a number of advantages to accessing your reference material in this way. It helps to expedite the research workflow, and it also facilitates effective study with a myriad of other related Elsevier reference work articles, images, contributors, all combined into a single, constantly evolving knowledge base, in this case in the discipline of food science. These reference modules also reflect the most recent significant developments in the field. Unlike hard copies in the form of encyclopedias that often take years to develop and commission and publish, accessing reference material online means that we can quite quickly and in real time update articles online that relate to significant developments, particularly in fast-moving areas within the field. These articles are constantly being reviewed by our editorial board that I've referred to already, and each of the members of the editorial board, and I'll talk about them shortly, is an expert in their field, and they also understand the challenges faced by researchers in accessing reference material. Each of the articles in the reference module is time-stamped and goes through a constant review and update process. So these articles are almost always no more than 2 to 3 years from the most recent review. And of course, we're always commissioning new articles that particularly relate to fast-moving areas within the field. The reference modules are vertically integrated on the Sciencedirect platform, so that means access to and interaction with a whole range of other material, journal articles, etc., which improves the user experience. It's organised into a subject hierarchy that both provides an easy way with which a user can navigate through a particular field, because these hierarchies are in an intuitive cascading form. But being online also allows searches to be done and through the Sciencedirect platform, and then relevant material coming up that both relates to that topic but also may relate to intersecting topics as well. So why reference modules? I guess there's probably 4 reasons for reference modules, and these are 4 reasons why I got involved and why I'm passionate about reference modules. Let me just introduce those, and in the following slides I'll go into a little more detail about each of these points. First of all, they're cohesive and comprehensive. So they combine thousands of encyclopedic and other major reference work articles from Elsevier's collection, and they also combine them with new and exclusively written articles that have been created for the reference module. This material is continually advancing. So as I mentioned, these articles are continually being reviewed, updated and date stamped, so a user can be sure that the material they're accessing is up to date and has been curated by an editor or several editors who have expertise and experience in the field. They're authoritative. They are organised in an intuitive subject hierarchy, and these hierarchies have been designed by the editorial board, and the hierarchies also continually being reviewed and revised and evolved to make sure that it reflects important aspects of the particular topic within the discipline, in this case food science. And they're placed on Sciencedirect platform, and I think I've already mentioned about the advantages of that. It provides links to related journal articles, ebook chapters, and provides the user with an integrated experience. So let me mention a bit more about these particular points I've now made. So in terms of cohesiveness and the comprehensive nature of these articles, they provide the user with topics that are in context rather than in isolation. So organising the material in this subject hierarchy, the user can see where a particular article is placed, but also how it links to other points in the hierarchy, so other aspects of the discipline, and also outside the hierarchy. It covers all areas of the field, providing an understanding to the user of the whole spectrum of the subject. And as I mentioned earlier, because so much scientific research now is interdisciplinary, this is absolutely essential feature. I mentioned the material is evolving and continually advancing. That's particularly true for fast-moving areas within the discipline, where we're constantly commissioning new articles and the reference material is constantly being updated. At the moment, the food science reference module has approximately 2,500 articles, but that's constantly being increased, and by the end of the year, we're aiming for well over 3,000 articles. So those additional 500 to 600 articles will be in fast-moving areas. The reference modules are more than just online textbooks. They really are covering important areas, topical areas, fast-moving areas within the field. Because they're online as well, the other important point, I guess, about continually advancing is that this new content, as it's commissioned, can be immediately added into the module rather than waiting perhaps a year or two for an encyclopedia to be published with that commissioned material. This is a very important point. It's authoritative. Reference modules have this intuitive subject hierarchy, been designed by the editorial team, and we're constantly looking at and reviewing it and making sure that this cascading hierarchy that I mentioned is also interacting and aligned with other hierarchies within the food science area, but also, I guess, reflective of what's happening in some of the other reference modules that are being published by Elsevier. This hierarchy means it's easy to navigate and to locate articles on a specific topic, as well as to see where that article might link to other parts of the hierarchy and also outside the hierarchy. So a user can see the context of a topic and a subtopic and how it links to other subtopics. And it sits on the Sciencedirect platform. So it's easy to see how it links to related book and journal content and becomes an important complement to researchers as they source reference material, but also relate that to material from other sources like scientific journals. It is a resource, I guess, that's time efficient. So we're all time poor today. So accessing a vast amount of information in the form in which the reference module is designed makes a researcher's time very, very efficient. We've got this intuitive hierarchy I've mentioned, easy to navigate, but also to do a search within that hierarchy. So there's various ways in which the user can interact with the reference module. Many, I imagine, would do a search using keywords with a whole range of articles coming up, and they can quickly see where they fit into the hierarchy and how they interact with other parts of the reference module and even outside the module. We've got a clear and easy layout designed by the editorial board, makes it easy to navigate the subject article area and also locate articles on a specific topic, as well as presenting all those links I've mentioned to other subtopics. So this provides an important context. The subtopic, particularly as a researcher, is perhaps designing a new project and needs to see what interactions there are with other topics, both within food science, but also perhaps in areas related to food science. I can talk quickly about the editorial board. I guess, as I mentioned earlier, my 30 years experience in food science has allowed me to develop a big network, and that network has helped to draw on various experts within the food science field. And I've tried to make sure in pulling together the editorial board that we have good balance. And by that I mean balance between academic perspectives, industry perspectives, areas of expertise, experience, and also food science, yes, the food industry being very much a global industry, to ensure we have editorial board members drawn from across the globe. And you see a snapshot of those editors here. They've helped design the reference module, the hierarchy, and also are responsible for their various subject areas within the hierarchy, both to review existing content, but most importantly, to commission new articles, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure the reference module is really up to date and topical. The reference module, we believe, is a cross-disciplinary bridge. I guess in terms of the food science discipline, this is particularly important. Food science, I guess, has been punctuated by the intersection of a whole range of both basic and applied sciences, ranging from chemistry to nutrition to microbiology to engineering. So it's important that when a user does source reference material, it's easy to navigate between sub-disciplines within their area of interest. Researchers need basic and reputable information to build their studies upon. And this is not just sourced from scientific journals, but it needs to be complemented by reference material, and reference material that's right up to date. And that's what we're aiming to do with the reference module concept. It's a one-stop resource. As I mentioned, it sits on Sciencedirect, so users can easily transfer from one sub-discipline to another efficiently and effectively. And as I mentioned earlier, in a world where interdisciplinary pursuits really dominate what's going on in the science world, this is really, really important. And the user also gets a snapshot of the whole spectrum of the subject, perhaps how it interacts even outside the subject area. And again, some of the, I guess, the most exciting developments in science are happening at the boundaries between disciplines. So having access to reference material that covers that boundary, I think, is really important and complements access to other sources of information, such as from scientific journals. So at this point, I might hand over to Becky to take you through the logistics of how you access material from the reference module and the user experience. So over to you, Becky.
Thank you, Jeff. So I just want to start out by showing you the way that you would access the reference modules on Sciencedirect. So for those who are very familiar with Sciencedirect, you'll find this to look very familiar. What you would do to find them, and you can all go in there today if you logged on to Sciencedirect.com, and in this box right here, you'll just start typing in reference module. And then all of a sudden in the box, the modules will pop up and you click on the module in food science. Then you would click on the arrow and it will launch you into the reference module itself. So now we're on the main page of the reference module in food science. You'll always know that you're working within the reference module in food science because you'll see the logo right here in the top left-hand corner. Things to notice on this page is the subject hierarchy that Jeff was speaking about. So you can come in here and look at all of the different subjects that are covered in here. And as you click on each of these arrows, they'll open up and it will take you down even further into more segments that focus on something that you might be interested in. So it's a nice way that you could search, but you can also browse. So by clicking on these things, you're just browsing through the subject matter that you might talk about. But if you wanted to search for a specific term, in this box right here, you would just type in any term that you're interested in and click on the hourglass, the magnifying glass, and then it will take you to what you're looking at. Another thing to note on this main page is in this box, you will notice that there's currently today 2,437 reference articles related to this food science topic. So this is, when we say articles, we're referring to the book chapters that are found within our reference works, as well as the newly commissioned content that Jeff was talking about. So one of the first things that I wanted to cover and show you today is within the module itself, on each of these subjects, topics that we're talking about, you'll be able to come in, and there's a free featured article that you can even go in and look at today. So once you get in here, this is what you'll look at, and it'll say featured article. Once you click here on full article, everything will populate, and you'll actually be able to read, and it kind of gives you a nice one-on-one 101 version of the information that you're looking at. Another thing to note, too, is I clicked on, you'll notice, food safety, defense, and microbiology of this particular topic. And within the module itself, you'll note from the main page where we had over 2,400 articles, now we're looking at 670 reference articles related specifically just to food safety, defense, and microbiology. And then you could do a further search term into this, and it will drag it down even further for you. I do encourage all of you today, where their interest is to go in and actually look at the free articles, download them, and see if it's beneficial to you. So the next thing that I wanted to show you is, as Jeff was talking about the different types of features within the reference module itself, is that we do keep our articles current. The editorial board takes the time to go through each of these 2,000 articles at all given times and make sure that the information in there is current. So as you can see right here, this article under transgenic approaches was originally from 2011. It was from the Encyclopedia of Dairy Sciences, and this is the particular chapter within the book. So what you'll find is that here's the original date, but it just goes to show that they marked it current as of the 7th of February in 2015. So the board has gone through and they've ensured its currency, made sure that all of the information found within here is still trusted and good for today. If at all it was found that it was not current, what we would do is we would commission a new version of the article itself. And next, one of the other features he was talking about was that they're continually updating the articles. They're making sure it's evolved. If when the board was going through and they found a particular article to be found out of date, what they would do is they would go back to the original person who authored this particular article within the reference work itself to see if they wanted to update it. So in this case, what we'll find is under fermented dairy foods, under one of these, and we decided to look at an article about cheese, and cheese is a food ingredient. This article was found to be out of date. It was originally commissioned as part of the Encyclopedia of Dairy Sciences, the second edition in 2011. Because the information wasn't as updated as it should be, again, the board went back to the author, who then rewrote the article. So what you'll find here, down here, is the updated article from the original. Now, we will keep the original article on here as well. So if ever in any of your researchers' time they spent going through that they cited something from there, it's never going to go away. So you don't have to worry about something that was being cited that will be found to be out of date. So this is a great feature, and as well, they could download the article today to have the old one, or they can download the current article today as well. I'll touch on it after, but again, all of the articles and information that you'll find within Sciencedirect are DRM free. You can, simultaneous users, you can download a PDF as well as MOBI and EPUB files for your readers. So here I just wanted to go back to the main page again. So again, anytime that you want to get back to the main page when working within a reference module itself, you'll just click on the logo and it'll bring you back to the main page. But at any given time, if you did want to read further about any general information about the reference module itself, the aims and the scopes of it, you want to read about the editorial board and their biographies and where they came from to find out more about them, all you have to do is click on any of these links down here below, and it will take you to anywhere to take you to read more about them. Then the content and platform advantages. This isn't just about the reference module itself anymore, but it's about Sciencedirect. But the great thing about the modules is that, again, it's the simultaneous users. There's no digital rights management. There's no printing or downloading limits. It links to any of the other articles on Sciencedirect content. So if you're searching on food safety, it'll take you to journals. It'll take you to other book-related content so that you can jump off and see what else is out there once you found what you needed and you wanted to take a next step somewhere. It's available 24/7 availability. You can use it on a mobile device. You can use it with your laptop. So it has a lot of advantages, and by having these reference modules on Sciencedirect, we're not asking you to buy a new database or anything. So it's just, it has all the resources you need all in one place. You can download multiple articles, PDF articles. So what you would do is, once you're in a specific area, say you were looking under nutrition and health, and there's 3 or 4 different articles that you have an interest in, what you would do is you would just check these boxes right here, as many as you would want, and then click on download the PDF. And then you don't have to download one at a time. So it's a time savings, it's better for you, and you know, the ability to share the information and get what you want right when you need it and save yourself some time. Again, you know, you just select only the articles you wish to download. So you don't, so you wouldn't have to download every single one of these articles, just the most ones that are relevant to you. And then once you click the download button in the files, it will come out as a zip file. So all the articles will also have the suggested naming format, unless you choose to create your own format and put it into something that makes more sense to you. Again, I know I mentioned it before, but with e-reader access, Mobi Pocket and Hub Export. So, you know, Sciencedirect is designed to support the mobile devices. All of these links will be live in the presentation that will come to you, but you can click here to find out more about how to do this and how to download these files for your particular readers. So I guess in summary today, what we just really want you to remember about reference modules on Sciencedirect is they are cohesive. It's one innovative and efficient resource. They're continuously advancing, so the content is continuously reviewed, updated, and date stamped. We make that a promise, and that is why we pulled this world-renowned board together to ensure that we're giving you the content and your researchers the content that will make a difference. They're authoritative. Again, with the hierarchy and designed by our modules expert editorial board, you will always have the most up-to-date and relevant information that you're looking to pertaining to a particular subject. And again, they're on Sciencedirect. So you'll have links to related journal content and ebook chapters to create a more integrated and user experience. Also, we have some resources for you. So again, at the end, when you download the presentation, right here, you'll see there's videos. Here is one where Dr. Smithers is talking about the module itself and gives you even more information than, you know, what he talked about today. Please come visit us at referencemodules.com. The wealth of information about all of our different modules that we have, and some case studies, and you know, if you wanted a demo, a live demo, or you wanted to talk to sales about this particular, there's all sorts of information for you on that site. We have a product white paper that explains the reference modules even more. So if this was something that you had interested in and you needed to take it back to a larger group to discuss reference modules, what they are and how they work, you could download this white paper and share it with anyone. We have case studies. So we have case studies from using reference modules in the classroom, or we have case studies from people using reference modules for research today. And if you want more information, here are these links. You can contact sales. All of our fact sheets are right here for each of the reference modules, so you could download those. And again, you can request a free demo. My email will also be put out at the end of this webinar as well. So if you did want a live demo or a one-on-one or to talk further about these modules themselves, I am more than happy at any given time to spend some time with you, work through them, answer the questions, and you know, look at just really get into them further without just being in a bigger group. So again, we want to thank you for today, and we also want to open it up for questions at this point in time.
Becky, I see a question from Scott about subscribing to Sciencedirect, and does that mean they get access to the reference modules?
So, hi Scott, thanks for asking the questions. So Scott's question, reference modules do not cost anything extra if we have Sciencedirect. No, there is a subscription fee. Reference modules are a subscription product that sit on Sciencedirect, and that would be an additional fee if you did decide to start subscribing to reference modules. If you would like further, to talk about some pricing or have any additional questions, Scott, please feel free to email me, and I'll make sure that I address those for you. Elizabeth Wallace has asked, we purchased 4 of the 5 of them. Hold on. And you market them. So Elizabeth, thank you for that comment, that she does like them. They purchased 4 to 5 of them, and that they are used and they're very popular. I do appreciate that. And Elizabeth, thank you for pointing that out to me. Yes, there is the subscription model, but there is a purchase model as well. So you can make the reference modules themselves a patron-driven model. So what you would do is once you subscribe, if you did what we call an Access Plus model, what that opportunity is you pay a little bit of extra, but you bank that money. So at the end of the year or at the end of 5 years, what you can do is you can actually take the amount of money that you have been paying into extra and purchase the MRWs or the reference works in perpetuity that make up the module themselves. So it is a nice patron-driven model that sits behind something if you did not want to just do a subscription-only type of product. So Chris from New York is asking if it's a cost based on FTE. Yes, it is. And that is a discussion that we could have with you again as well. If you want to, feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to break that down for you and let you know what they are by FTE. So again, we currently have 5 modules that are live today. Our chemistry, molecular science, and chemical engineering, earth and environmental sciences, food science, material science and engineering, and our biomedical sciences. All have been very popular, used, and we did launch the first 2, the chemistry, molecular sciences, and chemical engineering, and earth and environmental sciences in 2013 in September. The next one we did launch was our biomedical science reference module, and that was launched in December last year, December of 2014. And then our food science and material science and engineering were the 2 that were just launched this past December as well in 2015. So they are our newest, and but again have been widely received, and we're very happy to have that. We have 2 more that will be launching later this year. So Angela, you have asked about, do any of the reference modules have any humanities content, or is it all science? At this point, from the modules that we have launching, it is more on the science end of things. The 2 modules that will be launching later this year are in neuroscience and fundamental life sciences. And those will be coming out late 2016. As we get closer to launch and pre-announcing them, I'll ensure that everyone on this list also is aware of what we have coming up. Again, I want to thank all of you for your time today. I don't know if there's any more questions that will be coming in, but we'll wait just a couple more minutes. But if not, again, please feel free to download this presentation. We will also include it as follow-up from the presentation today. And if anyone has any questions or, again, would like to see a live demo of this, please feel free to click on my email address right there, and I'm more than happy to spend some time with you.
I've also enjoyed participating in the webinar, and I hope for all participants it's been useful. And if you have any, I guess, technical questions relating to content and how we're approaching the reference module, please let Becky know, and she'll contact me.
Over to you, Mark.
Great. Thank you, Becky and Dr. Smithers. I'd like to take a moment now to give a virtual round of applause to both of you for spending some time with us today and sharing some great information. We greatly appreciate your insights. And as a reminder, we have recorded today's program, so please be on the lookout for a follow-up email from ACRL and Choice that will include instructions on how to access the archived version. Thanks again for all of our participants for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the session, and I hope the rest of your day is great. Thanks again.